Check one, check two. This is it. Welcome to the Cannabis Coffee Hour with your host, me, Rob Cantrell, coming back again with my good friend, hilarious comedian right here in Brooklyn, New York. Too cool to do this again. Weekenders Part 2. Please give it up for my guest, my homie, my good friend, Rufat Agayev, everybody.
Hello.
Hello, Rufat. How you doing? You're back, my man.
I'm back. There's no other place I'd rather be.
I mean, I always chill with you when I see you out at comedy shows. Shout out to your show at Scorpion Records. One of the sickest Tuesdays around. It's literally in an old record store that sells like Grateful Dead vinyl and tie-dyes.
It's a Deadhead bar.
It's a Deadhead bar, which is wild in Queens.
And before that, it was like a Yugoslavian mob hangout.
Ooh,
that's what they say it was.
Some Yugos.
Yeah, you don't ever hear a lot about the Yugos.
I know, that was a car in the 80s. Yugoslavia came out with a bomb-ass car, and it was like an 80s punchline. But, I mean, if you pulled up with a Yugo right now, that would look cool.
The hoes will come flocking.
Yeah, the hoes. You put some bass in the back. You hook it up with some. I don't know what the new speakers are right now for cars.
AirPods.
With some AirPods. AirPods are the new speakers. People don't bump systems in their cars as much. And you come from Miami, or you come from Florida.
St. Pete, yeah.
St. Pete. But I after their interview of the last episode, Weekenders Part 1, this is Weekenders Part 2, I was like, dude, I didn't talk to him about Christian rap or hip hop, Florida. And is it good, or is it like coming up from when I came up? I was born in 72, everybody. I mean,
wow.
In terms of like hip hop turning 50, I literally grew up with it. My first hip hop show was the Fresh Fest. Houdini, Run DMC on their second album, and the Fat Boys was the lineup.
My first concert. Well, I don't think it was my first rap concert. It might have been, but my first like big rap concert, Up in Smoke tour. That was Dr. Dre when he released The Chronic, 2001.
Oh,
so it was Dre, Snoop, Eminem. Alex Thomas was the host. You remember Alex Thomas?
He was from Rap City on BET. He was a stand-up comedian. I think I may have done shows with him in DC. He was from DC.
Yeah, he was the host. Shaq was there. This was in Tampa.
Shit.
This is when, so like my mom and my dad were divorced. My dad moved to St. Pete. My mom was in Erie. I went to go spend the summer not knowing that I would continue living with my dad afterward. But this was his attempt to really like show that he loved me.
Yeah.
And he got me the Up in Smoke tour tickets. He got me not WrestleMania, but like wrestling tickets at like WWE. So I saw The
big
Rock.
Show.
Yeah, I saw The Rock.
Oh,
so I was
shit,
like,
Prime Rock.
Yeah, I was like, oh shit, this is the way my life is gonna be. And then literally, he just stopped being an active father after we had no air conditioning in the house in Florida. I mean, this isn't for me to come and shit on my dad, but you know what I'm saying.
I want you to be open.
He blew his load very early on in my life, and it was like right in that 7th grade to 8th grade area, and then after that, it was just like I was out with the wolves.
Yeah, but that's a good load.
Yeah,
I mean that's
I'd rather
that's a
have
good ticket.
Consistency up until I was 18.
Right.
You know,
dads are tricky.
Dads are tricky, and you know,
dads are tricky.
And I know you're a dad.
Yeah, I don't like to talk about it too much. Because I'm about to smoke some weed on this podcast. But I will say that my dad died when I was 10, and he was very strict. I had like literally yes sir, no sir. You know, dude was from the South, was an Air Force captain, had a full ride scholarship at Virginia Tech to play basketball in the 1950s. Smooth but hard, don't fuck around, scary 70s dad. And it was very intense. And then when he passed, of course I was sad, but I also, there was a lot of freedom. There was a lot of weird, like I just didn't have that over influence Like
Yeah.
I didn't I could actually kind of expand and be myself in more of a natural way. And I think hip hop was the thing that, I started popping and locking. I was like, I don't need a dad. I was just sad. And I was just dancing to Egyptian Lover in the basement by myself for hours.
Dude, I mean, yeah.
Before drugs.
Hip hop got me through a lot of rough areas in my childhood.
But yeah, going back to dad, I don't want to talk about my shit too much. You were opening up.
I was just gonna say that I have a theory about dads, and that's all dads are the enemy. whether you're a good dad, whether you're a bad dad, you are the enemy. Because if you're an overly good dad, then now you've provided me structure, you've provided me discipline, and you've zapped any and all cool out of my body. Right. But then if you're like a like a fuck up dad, then you've birthed me with cool, but then I have all this trauma that I have to deal with, all this sadness,
But that can make you a great artist.
But as we know, being a great artist, it's nice, it's nice for the adulation on the outside, but man, internally it is a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
And being a great artist is not the funnest roller coaster to ever be on.
No. No, a life into art, and I always said this with stand up, like I cut out my first like open mics. I went and saw I saw some great comics early on. Yeah, I mean, I saw Cosby. I saw Cosby in an arena during the Cosby Show. That was like one of my first shows. But then I also saw this SNL guy, and he did Sniglets. He was like this obscure SNL guy that I paid to go watch, like in middle school. I was so into it. But then I got into going out and drinking, and comedy kind of died out during the 90s, and I just went full on hip hop.
Yeah.
But I guess, what was I talking about?
It was just how dads are the enemies.
Oh, dads are the enemies, or being an artist.
Yeah.
Like I always knew how hard comedy was, and then when I jumped in, guess what?
It was easy.
It was 10 times harder than I thought. It was easy. I always say with comedy, and I think it's a lot like comedy is like stand-up wise is like the hardest and easiest thing in the world. Like you just go up there and talk, but for some reason that is so hard and complicated. When you first do it, I remember first doing stand-up and being like, there's a trippy moment where you're like, oh, I'm not really in real time. Like there's like this.
There's a lag.
And you're trying, and your brain's moving, but it's not coming out your mouth, and you're trying to figure out the audience. So there's this like, and that's when I saw the light that I was like, oh, I can figure this game out. Like I can get to this point.
Yeah.
But it's also, I did get Last Comic Standing in my first 3 years. I went right on to television before everybody. So there was like, but in a way, I went so high that I had to, I don't know, good luck is in bad luck is in good luck. I love Lao Tzu. If you ever get the Book of the Way, Lao Tzu.
Dude, I'm so big into the Tao. Come on.
The Tao is what it's all about. The Tao is what it is about.
Yeah. It is a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful book. It is, I would say, like if I had to be anything, I'd probably say I was a Taoist.
Yeah, but even saying that, you're not a Taoist.
Exactly. That's the beautiful thing.
That's the beautiful thing. It's the naming of the thing is actually, I mean, in all, like the naming of things is
the labels. Yeah.
The labels is beginning of the suffering, is what they say. Now, having your mom and your dad and your friends, and he's this and I'm this and we're this, is good, but the attachment is how we all get tangled up in the drama and the love and the blah blah and the war and the hate and the death and the art.
I'm trying to tell you, I don't know if we want to get into this right now, but maybe we'll enjoy some coffee and some what's it called, some weed. But
yeah, we got some. Man, that's the name of the podcast.
I really dealt with everything that you just said. I really like. That was like the pinnacle and just like the main points of my mushroom trip that I needed some solace in my life. I needed to be able to like really cry. I have not been able to cry in a while. And
no, I've been there.
And like I really needed something to kind of like hold me down and just like force me. But here's what I realized is before I even did that, I had been spending like countless hours like listening to these lectures by this cognitive psychologist. And man, he really opened me up. He really opened me up because he's it's all about like your the way that you frame things, the way that you look at things. Like a lot of us hold beliefs and concepts because of our culture that affect like our shame, our guilt, our outlook on our success and our where we're at in life. And like when you hear somebody talk about it, about why we as a culture are where we are in our frames and modes of thinking, you're just like, holy shit, I didn't know I was carrying so much baggage that the world gave me.
Yeah.
And
that's heavy.
I've had to like, I think my main theme of when I was tripping was, as artists and as just as a person, especially a person that's so in their head, you have to practice on a daily zooming out and feeling what others might feel and really having like a compassion and like an understanding. Because what'll happen is like if you're living in your head this whole time, you'll start to cut people off, you'll forget to communicate, you'll like lose this sense of like love that you give out to others, and then you're so defensive because you've been hurt, you've gone through so much bullshit that you forget to realize motherfuckers got their own stories as well. They've dealt with deaths and accidents and all that bullshit, and because it's like it's main character bullshit.
Yeah, it's life, man. It is, and when you get in your head, that's what I love about meditating is getting out of my head. And I think mushrooms is that. I think the Taoism is like just learning to be yourself. And if you truly are yourself, you know that you're a dying organism. And then that leads to compassion. Like if you're really being real, you're like, none of this drama is going to even be drama in 20 years. Yeah. It's like even all of this, but it's still there. I don't want to go, I have a tendency to go so far out that I don't deal with reality, some people say. But at the same time, it works for me. And that's the Taoism, is like you kind of just do what works for you. Mm-hmm. But yeah, you're right. The understanding that everybody's going on some trip, and understanding that, if you ever get mad at somebody or get into an argument, lately I'm learning just to walk out of the room, and it's been a powerful move, or even dodge the motherfuckers. That's instead of that combative, like, oh, I gotta fucking set everybody straight, which you do sometimes in life. But at the same time, if you're ornery or edgy, you don't have to put that on anybody else. Like that's kind of a bummer to bring that vibe to other people.
And I think that like, I was in a relationship and I had to like, I was going through a lot, and I was bringing that vibe. I was bringing an angry vibe, and it's because I wasn't taking the time to really zoom out. I had the Tao, I had the meditation, I had all that stuff. I was listening to Alan Watts or whatever and all of that, but I wasn't really putting it completely into practice as well as I should have. And
it's hard with Instagram
because you know what it is?
What is it?
It's because as a former Christian, right, and this is before I started listening to this guy, as a former Christian, you want to distance yourself from like Christianity so much or whatever, but we forget like the root tenets of, not even root, but the main thing is just like love. And I feel like I don't hear enough atheists, talk about that. They're so caught up in fucking debating rationality and logic and making everything like as real as possible, to where they forget like starts with love.
Yeah.
And like, in the Bible they call it what, like agape.
Yeah.
That sacrificial love. And so, yeah, man, I was
and that's the only thing that transcends, as I see it, is like the love. Because life is life and death is death, and you can't have one without the other. That's the thing that I've been tripping out on, is like, you have to accept your death and you have to accept your life like as total. Mm-hmm. And then you can kind of lose yourself. That's kind of that moment where you can kind of not be so trapped in your head, mm-hmm. where there's this like slippery, it's not even slippery, it's so basic. And that's what I think, you know, Christianity was so basic and so simple that it can appeal to the, you know, the most unintellectual person, but also the most intellectual person. Mm-hmm. But the only problem when you start naming things, you start sectioning people off. And when you start sectioning people off, you start going into right and wrong. And, you know, that's, everybody's on their own trip, you know? Mm-hmm. So your right might be my wrong, or your wrong might be my right. Like everybody, because I smoke weed, I don't think everybody should smoke weed. I don't think, don't smoke weed until you're like 25. You know, I don't think everybody should, don't do what I do, but this is what works for me and the trauma that I've worked with and the stuff that I've let go. And, you know, coffee and weed is kind of the thing that does work for me for right now. And as I see it, I'm just trying to not overdo it. You got some great homegrown here from your friend over at Scorpion Records. We won't blow him out.
Some random.
Don't say it's random. You say you know him, but I did smell it. It was home.
I don't know.
Don't be saying that on the podcast.
Why?
Because I'm trying to do more of a healthy environment, like know where your pot comes from.
Oh, no, I agree.
I'm not trying to be edgy. Yo, buy your weed anywhere. Smoke it in front of a cop at a church.
I agree. I'm not saying that either, but I, for one, know that like it was grown in nature the right way. I think like this is from Vermont. There's a guy that comes through there.
I smelt it. It smells like grass. That's when you can tell when it's homegrown.
This is and there's a guy that comes there. I think he grows in Maine. He brings weed over there too. So like, yeah, I mean, you got deadheads over there.
You got hippies, man.
You got hippies and deadheads, and yeah, it's a beautiful environment to be in.
Yeah, the thing about you went so hard into Christianity, and that's the thing about I dig, I'm more of a hippy dippy, peace, love, hippie, hip hop, Christian in my heart, so to speak. But even saying that word kind of like, because I do feel for the Jewish faith, I do feel for everybody. And I do think when I strip away all these words and all this stuff, when I go back to nature, we really are just a part of one whole thing. That's what I was trying to think about life and death. Like, instead of thinking me, it's actually all. And it's always happening and it's always going on.
Yeah, there's the thing that I was listening to. It's called it's basically like lectures, like lectures, and it's a awakening from the meaning crisis. And there is a meaning crisis. We are all like freaked out about our place in the world.
Yeah, what does it all mean, or what it's all about? And I don't think that's the picture. I think the picture is to live it as big and fruitful and funny and funky as possible. Mm-hmm. And for some reason, it kind of reverberates back. Life loves it when you love it. Or shit goes down. Shit always goes down.
Shit definitely goes down.
But sometimes there's good luck and bad luck, and sometimes there's bad luck and good luck. I've seen people blow up and get super famous and go crazy and lose I've seen it all, But I've also seen the most, humblest people in the world, be more authentic, or, maybe the poorest people in the world be more authentic than anybody I've ever seen, and have more of a human touch and have more of a human vibe. I don't know. It's weird to live in a capitalist environment where you're like, I gotta get as much money, I gotta protect, I gotta blow up, I gotta, and at the same time, I really just want to go lay in the grass and listen to worms and write poetry.
I mean, yeah, that's like the thing that I love about kind of where I'm headed. If you do things a certain way, you're gonna figure out how the world reacts to them, or and I think I am in that place where I'm just I want that chillness. I want simpleness, and I think even when like great things happen, you know, or like things that are like, this is really gonna push the needle forward, I always have to remind myself, like, there's an emptiness in the fullness.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's like one of the most beautiful things that I love about the Tao is like it talks about how like a room is made up mostly of emptiness.
Yeah.
You know? So it's like we tend to like get so excited about these times in our lives where like, oh, I worked so hard to get to here, and then we get there and we realize, hey man, this isn't going to sustain you as a human being, and it's not going to make you better. It's just a thing that you accomplished. But I will say, after I cried for a long time,
yeah,
while I was under the tree at the Arboretum that I pissed on, that I threw up on.
Oh shit.
You know?
You took a heroic dose.
Yeah.
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 Solo mission?
Yes.
Solo mission by a tree in nature.
Under a tree, yeah.
That is hardcore.
Yeah.
I like the solo mission myself. I would have got a yoga pad in a small room, but I respect going into nature and being outside.
Yeah, I went into nature. I sat underneath a tree.
Oh, you did it like the Buddha.
Yeah, man. And there was a time where I just started to like cry and really like.
Did you have a little mat?
No, man.
You just sat on the ground?
I was on the ground, yo, and that grass was so soft.
Yeah, was it a good day?
It was a great day, man.
Oh.
It was a great day. There was trees everywhere. Like, I'll show you, you know.
No, but I'm painting the picture because I'm digging the vibe, okay? You're going hard in the paint.
I'm getting the pictures developed. There's a whole roll where I just took nothing but, like, nature pictures. There's 36 nature pictures. But, like, yeah.
On the Instamatic?
On my Canon film camera.
On the film camera.
On the film,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
People are going back to film.
I've been on film.
I know you've been on film, but I'm seeing it more in the streets. I'm seeing more kids fucking with the Instamatic joy.
It keeps it simple. It's very like there's something zen about it. You don't see what you took, you'll find out.
There's something mystery. Yeah, the mystery,
you
as Turnstile said.
You wait.
The mystery. You wait.
Mm-hmm.
And patience and fortitude is the key. It's an old Harlem 1930s jazz song, if you want to check it out, called Patience and Fortitude. It's sick.
What I was going to say, though, like the first time I had cried, for a long time. For a long time, it was about some emotional, relational stuff, you know? And then I thought Then I thought it was all done.
Yeah.
Right? And I was like, yo, I'm good. And then out of nowhere, dog, I just started crying again, and I was like, be proud of yourself. Because I'm prideful, but like maybe it's because I've been let down so much, or like, maybe it's because I've been let down so much. I try not to get, my therapist, back when I was going to therapy regularly, my therapist was like, why aren't you ever excited about anything? And I never really understood that. But then, like, I was sitting down, and I had, like, already filmed the thing in L.A., and, you know, like, people were like, yo, this is good. But, like, I was sitting down there, and I realized, like, yo, be proud of yourself. And I just started, like, weeping again. I was like, what the fuck is happening? It's like, be proud of yourself, dude. Like, the people that are dope, like the dopest people around in the thing that you do, know who you are, respect you, have told you great things, like, and even people that aren't the dope, just regular people, because their opinions count too, just as much as your, you know, legends that you look up to. But it's just like, dude,
wow,
be proud.
Oh, you should be
Have
very
some
proud.
Pride.
No, I was thinking about you, dude. You started in New York. And
I
you
started in New York,
which is it's not a smart idea.
No, it's not smart at all.
I tried to move here like 3 different times, dude. This town is so fucking brutal.
But I was already living here. That's the thing. This was my home.
And you only did hip hop, so I kind of get it. Like how you understood it. Like it didn't break you because you kind of already you kind of understood the art hustle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and that's what the stand-up game is, the art hustle.
Dude, I had grown. As a rapper, I had grown in my craft to a way where I was able to internalize it. I had been able to, my body had taken on the beats, on the things that I knew how to do, and I knew how to get into, like, that's why that Rick Rubin book, I absorbed it like a fucking sponge. Like, I got it. Like, he could release that book in an eye blink to me. He could just blink at me and I'm like, I get it.
Yeah.
Because, like, I did rap and I had, like, grown in my craft to the point where, like, I stopped writing.
Yeah.
Right? My writing was, I would just get up in front of the computer, I'd mumble something out, I'd put the words together, and, like, the shit was just, like, it was there. I had started flowing in that. And, like, right when I quit, I was already at, like, a point where I was like, oh, I've, like, put my 10,000 hours in.
Yeah, you knew how to make a rap tune.
So I knew with there's a difference. Anybody can make, like, a rap tune, but there's a thing about, like, when you
It's harder than you think. I've done it, and it was a weird learning thing. Like, it felt like training wheels to me that I was like, oh, you got to be on beat. You got to take it serious to produce a song.
But there's a thing in any craft where, like, you learn, like, you've internalized the rhythms.
Yeah.
And now you can do it not at the drop of a hat. You know, you're still gonna work through new material.
Yeah.
But, like, the shit is in you. You know, now the shit just comes out of you without you even, like, knowing it.
Yeah.
And I was like, when I first started out, I was like, if I can just get there, if I can get to a place where it's like I don't have to read the basics of comedy writing.
Yeah.
You know, just to, like,
and bomb at the worst open mic ever.
Yeah. Rules of three.
Yeah.
You know, like, if when you have that shit internalized, boom, 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 you're already like, you know, now I can tell the story I really wanted to tell, not the one that I am, my skill level is good enough to tell.
Yeah.
You know, that's like the thing that sucks is like, oh, I want to, like, embark on these complex things, but it's like I don't have the tool set to really make it funny right now.
I know. No, my first act was so weird and out there, and I would bomb. I got a reputation in San Francisco. I would bomb so hard, and I was so weird, and but I was funny, and it was really funny, and but I kind of conformed to the game. And then I look at the material and I was like, oh, this kid's fucking bugged out and really funny, man. I just didn't know how to pull it off. I didn't know. I was kind of acting out being a comedian and, like, all the stuff that goes on in your head. And I would have a meltdown on stage. I would do the whole, like, I would crawl out in the audience and then I would come back on stage. I used to sing Shania Twain songs. And I always had some hip hop jokes. Yeah, man. I love doing stand-up, but I always loved hip-hop, too, and it did trip me out that you did that. But to double back, we didn't finish. I mean, the cry is so heavy, what I wanted to pick up. Okay, so you cried at the Mushroom Tree, and then you cried at the comedy set? Was those two different cries, or were there two different cries at the Mushroom Tree?
Two different cries at the Mushroom Tree.
Oh, dude, that's heavy.
Yeah.
So you went down. You went down. You went down the river once, and then the river came back to give you another ride.
So what happened was I went to the Arboretum. There's a ton of different paths there, right?
Cool.
It's so beautiful. It has all types of trees. It is the most amazing place I've ever been in my life.
I need some kombucha for this.
I popped two big. I mean, I could show you how these things look.
No, I know you're a snob. You got some really fresh, good mushrooms.
You want to hear?
And you took two big caps.
You want to hear the crazy thing?
What?
I did Skankfest in Las Vegas, right?
Right.
I was at a what's it called? Like, I was at some, like, the goddamn comedy jam or whatever. Like, you know, when the comedians perform with the one guy who does the songs or whatever.
Yeah.
So I was in this is like a year and a half ago. A year and a half ago. And I'm looking around and I'm filled with a bunch of places. See this weird dude and this girl. They're walking around talking to people, and I look at the dude. I'm like, yo, you know, we're like, is this these mushrooms? And he's like, I don't know. Then he doubled back to me, and he's like, he gave me this small pack that I still have one more big mushroom in there. He gave me this. He's like, be careful. These are not like regular mushrooms. Don't weigh them out like regular mushrooms because they're way more powerful than that. This little bit, like, don't even take half, like, really play your cards right with this. I took them that night. Like, I took the smallest little bit from them. And I remember Blair Sochi we were there, and she was like,
shout out, Blair.
She was like, yo, you're, like, laughing. This is so good to see. You're like, you're happy. And I was like, yeah. And then, like, you know, I've still had them, and I've taking them here and there, but like it's crazy how like you think about like, oh, I'm going to Skankfest to perform comedy and be around these weirdos, but then like you never think like I'm gonna get something there that I'm gonna need a year and a half to really process some shit and cry.
Yeah, man.
At Skankfest, out of all places. But yeah, no, I walked into the fucking Arboretum, dog. I took 2, and it was just like it really takes a long time for them to hit me. Every time I do it, it takes a long time for them to hit me. And then I just start going, I'm just walking down this path, and I know that people are like, yo, what the fuck is going on with this dude? But I'm just like gagging. Then I'm feeling like it's starting to fucking, and I find this tree, like it's the most beautiful fucking tree. And I'm just like, dude, I need to like lay here because it's happening. And I throw up again, and I throw up again. Yeah, and then the first time I just really started to cry and let it all out and really feel how people in my life that I have hurt, like I mean, just or when relationships went sour, and I just like, man, I feel for them, and I love them, and if only I could have like seen it from their side a little bit. Maybe we still might have like, yeah, things would have still maybe severed, but at least it would have been a cleaner break or something like that. But yeah, so like, and then that was like more emotional. It's like mom stuff, dad stuff, all of that, just emotional stuff. And then I thought it was over. I was like, yo, I'm feeling better. I'm just going to sit around. I'm going to chill. And then out of nowhere was the second one. And that was just about like, be happy. Be happy. And I started texting some people
that's dope,
that are comedians. And I was like, I text them and I was like, hey, man, I just want to let you know, like, our mutual dead friend would be so happy.
Yeah.
He'd be so happy of you. Like what you're accomplishing, he'd be so happy. And I had to hit up like one of the OGs and be like, yo, you helped me out when I was doing a thing, and you were, I'll say who I hit up. I had the taping in LA. I hit up Roy Wood before the taping, and I was like,
yeah, Roy's cool.
I was like, I asked him for advice. Hey, I really want to be better at taped stuff. I want to be solid.
Yeah.
I want to be,
yeah. Yeah.
Like, I want to put it down on wax correctly.
Okay.
And he even told me like when to do it, because I gave him date options. I was like, I have June, I have August, I have October. He's like, do August. He like really coached me through this. And then next week I look, this motherfucker's on TV doing a White House Correspondents' Dinner. And I'm like, bro, this dude took the time out to give me advice about my bullshit. He's speaking to the most baddest evil empire on earth. How crazy is that? And I was like, dude, I know it probably freaked him out. And he didn't answer back until like 6:30 a.m. the next morning. And I was like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't be like texting folks when I'm tripping on shrooms.
Yeah, totally.
I even had a homie that I went to high school with, like my best friend in high school. We hadn't spoken for a long while. We kind of got out of touch. I had hit him, told him I loved him and thank you. His family took me in when I had nothing. Like they would feed me and da-da-da-da. And he was like, are you on shrooms? I'm like, yeah. But I was on one, man.
I'm glad you got to that space, and you should be proud of yourself. And a good cry is good, man. The thing that trips me out about crying is that you can't control it. And it comes out of nowhere. It's not really you, but it's really you. Like, that's the natural shit, man.
I loved it.
Yeah, it's cleansing.
I loved it.
Yeah,
I don't know what it is, man. I'm so.
Sometimes it's just confusing, and you don't know how it's gonna ever come out. But yeah,
it's wild, man. I was, I don't know if you've researched it, but about like the, like they help you with like certain traumas, and they help people with certain things. And even now, like, I'm not saying that I'm not fixed, or I'm not like I'm like, that's not what I'm trying to get at. But I feel like even now, like I'll watch like a documentary or I love my sports documentaries, dude. I'll laugh at stuff. It's so sad. I was in a place in my life where like I wasn't really laughing at things. I wasn't really like, you know, I was making people laugh. I was writing these like witty jokes and killing or whatever they think that I might have killed, I might have not, whatever. But like, you know,
you do it, but yeah, there's something that you build a callous,
and I'm not laughing
stand up made you bitter. Yeah, that's the thing that's whack about stand up. It can make you mean, but life can do that too.
I know, and I think it was. I think it was
you can blame stand up, but at the end of the day, everybody's fucking going through some shit.
I don't even think it was stand-up, really. I mean, it was partly, but it was like stand-up and just like, I work, man. I'm a working everybody in my life has always been like, yo, you need to relax, you know? And I think I need to relax, like, up here and then, like, with my body, you know?
Yeah. The pandemic gave me a lot of, like, much needed relax after going so hard in the paint. Like after a while, it's just mentally, you know, doing stand up and living in New York and life in general, man. After so many, you just gotta. I've learned to kind of duck and weave. Like sometimes it's good to duck out, and less is more. You know.
I didn't even feel the pandemic, dog.
You just kept it moving,
dog. I was doing moves. All pandemic.
Yeah, you told me about this.
I was doing nothing but moving jobs. All pandemic. To where we got out of the pandemic and people are like, oh, it's nice to be back. I've been out here, dog. I did not feel the effects of pandemic.
Yeah.
Because I was like getting these fake motherfuckers out of the city. Go to Rye, New York. Enjoy Westchester, and tip me well while you flee.
Yeah, that's a hard gig, man. Were you smoking hella weed during moving?
Nah.
No.
I was just. I was living with a woman. Things were on the rocks, so I was just like going to work.
That's hard.
Working hard. Coming back,
figuring it out,
dealing with drama. Yeah, but you know.
But now you know you're out here.
I am out here.
Did you just go out to L.A.?
Yeah.
When was that?
Started literally August 1st. I ended up in L.A. And I like it.
How'd you like it? Yeah,
I like it.
Yeah, LA's cool, man. You know, I started in California.
Dog,
I don't have any. I got mad love. LA doesn't. I mean. I can't say LA knows me, but I got mad love for California. Like I got mad love for all my San Francisco friends, and I still got a lot of them live in LA now. I lived in LA for like a year and a half. That weather's dope.
The scene isn't the same. I get it. Like people always complain about not doing as many spots. However,
it's a little bit more adult.
If I lived out there, I would just like compile the illest crew of like 3 to 4 people. We'd do comedy. We'd go hiking. We'd hit the beach.
Yep.
I think that's the thing that people need in LA.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes when people talk about LA, now mind you, I'm acting like I have LA figured out. Only been there like fucking.
Yeah, and moving around that town is really hard.
Well,
so
yeah,
picking your spot. Yeah, you kind of stuck to your car or whatever you're staying.
But I would do some commune shit out there. Like you know what I mean? Like rent an apartment, like, or me and my boys or whatever, my crew of people, rent an apartment in like the same building, and just like I feel like in LA, like you need community, and because it's A, hard to get around, B, very vapid, and you know, like a lot of plastic surgery or whatever, a lot of like looks, beauty, glitter, glam.
Dude, ego to the max. Yeah. The town runs on ego. Let's stop playing around. It's show business, baby.
Yeah, but if you're a real one, I think like there's ways to navigate it. I mean, like,
some of the smartest, most artistic motherfuckers are out there. So the art is for real, and people are making movies and like writing movies and doing it, and the comedians are like the ones that are the guys are like the huge, you know.
I don't know what it is.
The girls,
but I will say I'm blessed in the sense of like the close friends that I do have in my life. Like there's like my homie Ethan. We'll like on Monday we're just gonna go to the beach together. You know what I mean? And
You and Ethan?
Yeah, and we're stand-up homies.
Yeah.
But like also just like definitely real life homies. Like we found each other through stand-up, but our bond is like
Yeah, you would hang out with them even if you worked at Fat Burger.
Or Aldi's or some shit.
Yeah.
but no, like we're going to the beach, and then I have like I hang out with Gavin. Me and him. This motherfucker likes to go and smell flowers. Or he got me to buy.
I like that dude. I think he's cool, man. I think that guy's funny. Yeah. He's from Canada, right? He's Vancouverian.
Yeah, we're gonna I got my baseball mitt. I'm starting to do like play catch. Like, bro, that shit is like I'm glad I have friends like that, because now I go, like when I went to LA,
right? I
went to go visit my homie Keith, who I love. We did 4 grams of mushrooms in Santa Monica Beach the first time I went to LA. Yeah. And so he's like close to me. And so I like going out there because he's like, yo, man, we going out for runs. We going out in nature. And I was like, this is what we do in New York, man. And y'all actually have the stuff that like, you could do this on a yearly basis out here.
Oh yeah, you feel like the big green giant out there, dude. Yeah. It is. You feel like you're part Sasquatch. I mean, you get into some real California nature. Mm-hmm. It is like some of the best in the world. There's a reason why people end up there. I mean, Lake Tahoe is one of the most beautiful places around. It's so weird that it's all fucked up and everybody's trashing it. And it is, yeah, it's rough, man.
Even the La Brea tar pit is dope.
I know, that's the thing, is like we talked about on the last episode, like yeah, it's just like so many people move out there and it's a great place to be lazy.
yeah, it is.
But then, to make money, you got to have some aspirations in life. Yeah. Or be very lucky.
I'm very and even yous, like like I hang with you. I know you're the same type of dude. You like going out. You're rocking your Solomons. You're using them for nature stuff. You're not just doing it for style.
Dude, Solomons all day. That's all I rock is Solomons. I got some Columbia shorts on that are athletic wear. I do think active wear, like Lululemon, like that type of shit, like health and mental health and physical health. Like you talk about people bumming out and all this stuff, and it's not just working out, but there is something to be said about moving and grooving that gets your head right. Man. And a good, like on the road, like when I get a swimming pool and I'm working the swimming pool. This last hotel that I did, they had elliptical, they had a swimming pool, and then they had a hot tub. So I did 20 minutes on the elliptical, then I jumped right into the pool, and then I jumped right into the hot tub. Boom, boom, boom.
Dude, whenever I go into a city, I like to go and run, like a long distance.
Yeah, you do the running.
Yeah.
Were you a track star?
No.
Were you a runner? Are you a track star?
Nah, I was in high school. I was president of the Future Business Leaders of America.
Oh shit.
I was the head of the Christian Club.
Oh yeah.
I was the lead news anchor on our TV. Like I was doing it all except for athletics. And you know what, to tell you the truth, I would give up being a Christian boy who was homecoming king to be a weirdo that just did track.
Yeah.
Because now I look at him like, yo, these fucking kids were running. I wish I was running track.
They had some fly gear too.
Yeah, they had fly gear, man.
It's called the track suit. Don't get it twisted.
Yeah.
It's called a track. Where do you think the track suit came from? It came from the track team.
Yeah, the motherfuckers were running track, reading Hegel,
yeah,
doing bong rips.
Yep.
That was, that's what a...
Running in nature. Will you be long distance or you do the fast, like, hurdle
I would
joints?
Do cross country.
Yeah, cross country. Wow.
That's the weird motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Because, like, track, you got your... dudes that are like playing football or doing track and stuff like that.
Super competition.
No. Yeah. I'm talking about like hanging around the weirdos that do cross country. Because anytime you talk to somebody, even now, you talk to them like, yeah, man, I love a nice little 5-mile run. Like 5 miles? Dude, you're fucking crazy. It's like, no, it is so refreshing, man.
Yeah, 5 miles will get the blood pumping.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not too long that your knees start aching.
Nah, a good 4 or 5 mile run, It will get you
like
right.
a 2-mile walk is good. So it's kind of like doing a 2.5-mile walk at a faster pace.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then you're kind of like getting the phlegm out and you're getting all the funk out. And you say crying's good, but dude, what about good old sweat?
Oh, sweating. Dude, I love sweating, bro.
Dude, yeah.
I
didn't
sweating.
play ball. I don't sweat it up enough because I worry about the funk. But but a good sweat. I did on the elliptical. I got my sweat.
We gotta
going.
go. We gotta go to the bathhouse.
Yeah, I've done the shout out to Dan Curry. Is my man. He took me to the bathhouses in the Lower East Side. I lost my swim trunks down there.
A good,
steam.
sweat.
Yeah, if I was balling out of control, I'd definitely get a steam sauna.
Who are you? Are you more of like a dry sauna, wet sauna?
Wet. I could do a
Like
dry.
wet?
Yeah. I'm a wimp.
Are you medicated?
dry-
Are you doing the one with the
Eucalyptus?
Yeah.
Give me the eucalyptus.
You like the eucalyptus?
All day. Get the funk out of my nose. It's more like all the gunk that's in my face.
You know,
I love getting that out. But you're right. The hot wouldn't go fuck yourself dry sauna when it makes you poor.
And I keep my chain on. My chain on.
That's dangerous. That's dangerous.
Yo, there's this thing, and I know you would love it. So at the Brooklyn Botanical Garden,
Right.
they got this thing where you could walk into like different rooms to experience different types of like climates. So like they got like an Arizona climate room. They got like a California climate room. They got like a, I don't know, like a more of like a East Coast or like a swampy, like a Florida room. And man, that shit was. I think I was high, and I was just like, my favorite room was that dry Arizona room.
Yeah.
I like that shit.
So it was mostly stone. Is that what you're saying? It was probably
They had plants. So they had plants that grow in those types of environments.
That's moist. Was it like moss?
No, in the Arizona room, it was more like cacti.
Cacti, yeah.
Yeah.
That type of shit.
Yeah.
But it was great.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah.
I like a dry. Yeah, I like that dry heat. I like the wet. I like the wet sauna rooms too, but it's something about that dry, just like really beat up on you.
Oh, that will
cold plunge. Cold plunging?
No, but I would if I had the setup. I turn my shower on cold for a minute.
I used to do cold showers like daily.
Yeah.
And then I was just
I think that's supposed.
You're beating yourself up a little bit too.
A little bit. Yeah, I definitely don't do it raw dog all the way. Like I start out because I do. I'll make my own sauna. I'll steam up a bathroom. I got 20 minutes on washcloths.
Yeah.
I'll talk about the shower like that. That's the real sacred church is the shower. That's where you really truly are yourself. Did you want any herb, my man? You don't have to.
I've been on coffee. What if we do the cannabis coffee hour? I'm doing the coffee. You're doing the herb.
Tell the people, because we're about to finish up, homie. I'm not going to drag it out too long. Yeah. You've been more than funny and more than cool and more than nice to do this. What kind of coffee are you drinking on?
I'm drinking Sail Away.
Oh yeah.
They got the like the tattoo font.
That's a good font. Yeah, and the sailor
they
bird.
Got the sparrow. So yeah. Is that the sailor bird? So yeah, they're trying to like appeal to a more, Brooklyn gentrifier type of audience,
Yeah, Nitro. What did you think of it? It was caramel, but yeah, I was gonna say
this is
that does have some tattoo font art.
Touch of sweet.
And you got a lot of tattoos, my man.
I do. I became best friends with a tattooer, and he. Shout out to Jazz. He was
Jazz. Shout out to Jazz, and shout out to that movie we were just watching. Whiplash. Shout out to Jazz in general.
Yeah, Jazz is a beautiful thing.
I wanted to talk to you about Jazz, but keep going.
Talk about Jazz. We're gonna talk about Jazz.
We'll finish tattoos and then we'll go Jazz real quick. I won't hang on tattoos.
I just was saying Jazz. He was on Ink Masters on one year. He got out like think he got out like the second episode.
That's all right. I mean, that's like being on Last Comic Standing. I did that shit. He was legit. You can't be fucking around. You're on Ink Masters.
Mm-hmm.
You're not bad at tattooing.
No, he's no, definitely. He's great.
Did you like it? Do you still like him?
I haven't gotten tattoos in a while, but
I went through a phase.
I went through a phase, and it was a lot all at once. And usually, I am a pretty radical person like that.
Yeah, that is true. You either you become
I go hard.
You go hard Christian, go hard rap, go hard, and then you picked comedy, which is you got to go hard or go home. You know what's a good? Have you heard Homeboy Sandman go hard?
Dude, man. So, one of the homies that I hit up during the mushroom trip, he sent me this song called Therapy by Homeboy Sandman.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and I was like, so Homeboy Sandman, I had heard
I haven't heard him. I just heard that song, and it was such a banger. It was just one of those songs that I put on repeat in my locker. You know what I'm talking about? Like on your YouTube, just your byline. I'm fucking with this tune right now.
I heard Homeboy Sandman a long time ago, back when I was in college, and guess what? I didn't listen to him because he was like bald and he wasn't cutting the sides of his head, and I was like, this dude looks weird. I'm not listening to him.
Yep.
I was such a little shithead.
He was on some bus driver shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, I didn't know, but man, have you seen the video for Go Hard?
No.
Oh, you gotta check it out.
I'll
He's
check
on
it
a 10-speed, just killing fucking Brooklyn on a 10-speed.
Oh, that's
just,
sick.
Just like what you do. Just like, did you go bike? You got a bike.
I got a bike.
You go hard. I was thinking about the first time I saw I knew Eric Andre from the rooms. This was before he blew up or had his show, but I remember like one of the first times we had a like longer conversation. He was coming out the subway with this bike, man. He was just tap water, and I say he was just running on tap water and resin. You know, you ever go through those phases in comedy?
Yeah.
Those first few years are rough. And and he was carrying his bike. He was just one of those guys in Brooklyn that went hard on the bike.
Yeah, I've been on the bike. But ever since I got the car, I'm not on the bike as much.
Yeah.
I hate to say that, but also like I use my car for work a lot, you know?
Yeah, and then
I need my car.
You need your car. Having a car in New York is dope. But your bike, you can put that in the car and then go into cool spots and run around, because biking in New York's gotta be dangerous. You're too old for that shit. Not that you're old, but is it dangerous or you weren't afraid?
Nah, you just gotta know, like, I'm not going to
put yourself
Times
in danger.
Square.
Yeah,
that's first of all.
You're not doing anything
going to
dumb.
Times Square.
Yeah.
So if you ride around in Brooklyn, I mean, you should be all right, man. Like,
yeah, they do have good lanes and people know what's up.
Yeah.
Everybody, it runs on city bikes.
Here's the thing about driving, though. It's like driving in Brooklyn. You got to watch out for like 4 different types of things. You got to watch out for like the car behind you, the people in the street, the bike lane, and on top of that, the delivery drivers with the e-bikes.
Yeah.
So like you got to like
And everybody double parks. Everybody double parks. All the delivery trucks, there's no room to pull in.
Yeah.
So everybody double parks. Whether you're giving your friend a bag of weed or if it's FedEx, it's going down these little streets and there's alternate street parking where they got to move the car. It's chaos, man.
Driving in New York has really upped my anger levels to degrees that I don't feel
I've never gotten that angry and that more despair. I don't like doing it unless it's at midnight. I say the only time that's a good time to get the fuck out of New York is 4 a.m.
But you know,
if you get out at 4 a.m.,
yeah,
nobody's there. You're like Batman. You fucking like run Gotham.
I think that like, even though, I am angry when I drive, I think it's the one thing keeping me safe because I'm alert.
Yeah, it does. It's very zen that way.
I'm
New
alert.
York driving is so, like, it never gives you a point where you're super chill. Like, you're always got to be on point.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I don't know. Yeah. There is this point of zenness that you're just always. And the thing that I learned is, like, you just got to worry about what's in front of you right now. Mm-hmm. Like, that's all there is to it, because there's always some motherfucker stopping, some other shit popping off.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for being on the Cannabis Coffee Hour, man. And congrats on the recent LA trip, stand up in the mushroom trees trip. And thanks for doing the podcast, my man.
Yeah, to all the people out there, man. You know, if you need that reset, all you gotta do is make time.
Yes.
That's all you gotta do, man. Just make fucking time. If you can't get anything out of this, it's like make the time to just fucking, reset that shit.
Yeah, I got to
zoom out. That was my word. Zoom the fuck out.
Nice.
You know?
Zoom out. We're going to keep on zooming on. And thanks for coming on. Zoom out. Any shout out to jazz? What kind of jazz are you listening to? Or do you like jazz or?
I love.
Oh shit! You go heavy.
It's the only thing I have in my car as far as CDs. It's the person that gave me the car. It's their country CDs and then my jazz CDs.
Oh, that's cool.
So, I'm still to this day enamored. I mean, I love Monk is my favorite. Solo Monk. I enjoy listening to solo Thelonious Monk. Ahmad Jamal Trio, jamming. Always jamming to Ahmad Jamal Trio. But it's crazy that like one of my favorite albums that I still keep listening to that amazes me, Miles Davis playing Porgy and Bess.
Oh, wow.
Like, it's just so lush and beautiful and like the horns. And then I learned that Porgy and Bess was like this racist play that fucking Gershwin wrote.
Oh shit.
Yeah. like it was very controversial, and looking back at it, it's like he tried to make a progressive play, but like looking back at it, it's like it's actually like racist, but in context, but it's just
it's interesting. But then they hired Miles to do the music.
A bunch of people have redone Porgy and Bess. Like I think
it's a classic show tune.
I think correct me if I'm wrong. You could look, but maybe like Ella Fitzgerald was singing it or whatever. Like had an album. Like basically,
it was one of those songs that were around. Yeah,
it's a whole like musical thing. Like a bunch of songs. From the movie, because Gershwin wrote songs.
Yeah.
So it was just like some people would sing the songs and like redo the composition. Miles is like playing the songs, no words, and it's just like beautiful.
Yeah, Miles is deep. I just know Bitches Brew pretty well, and I know...
Kind of Blue?
Kind of Blue a little bit.
Oh, bro.
I'm not super Miles. I like John Coltrane. I went through a little of that.
Yeah, I got Soul Train in the car.
But a little bit. But I can't fake the funk. I'm not super heavy jazz, but I like it tonally, and I like the vibe. And I do listen to it, but it's just so deep, it just goes on forever. And it's the perfect vibe music. It's the perfect drive music, and there's no talking.
Mm-hmm.
Or do you like the singing in the shit?
Nah, I don't listen to any singy jazz. And that's no disrespect to like classic like jazz singers who are amazing. I am just like strictly like
that's what I think is going to be on the come up is jazz.
I love my bebop.
Yeah, bebop.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be, that would be like 60s, 50s, 60s.
Trying to tell you, man, Ahmad Jamal Trio, and if you haven't really consumed Kind of Blue by Miles Davis, I mean, it's like the album. It is like
the
greatest jazz album ever.
Yeah. I'll check it out, man. I mean, I have listened to it. If you put it on, I'll vibe to it.
It's amazing.
And I do have a really funky avant-garde Miles on my Spotify right now that is so funky. Like when he starts wearing the spaceship sunglasses, man, and he's just doing a lot of coke in the fucking early 80s, like with a full fucking denim suit. Like his fashion with Miles Davis is the trippy part, man. And it just to watch like all the changes and
he's
shit.
Always been smooth.
Yeah, always the smoothest.
Always been smooth.
Always smooth. Shout out.
Dropped out on Juilliard when he was 9. See, that's like the thing that I love about like jazz and like especially reading like the Thelonious Monk autobiography. Bro, like motherfuckers weren't really they were disrespected by like the jazz community and like people weren't fucking with them because they were like a little bit too, you know, too experimental. Like Thelonious Monk was standing outside of jazz clubs that he couldn't play at while they were playing shit that he wrote. You know, like, and he was like a late bloomer. You know what I mean? Like he didn't pop until like later on in his life. He was always struggling with his art. And like,
no, jazz is the hardest, but it's the hardest snobs. That's the cool thing about jazz. And like the real cats that really swing doesn't fuck with anything that's not like going to the source of like just playing at your best and feeling the music without the ego and using technique and like at full force.
All them dudes had to go through that Zen thing. They had to realize, I'm not going to get the thing by grabbing at it.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, like I think that's the thing that I'm learning, I'm learning with comedy is like, be yourself. Don't stop trying to do this all the time, because like you'll only impress people more when you've been ironing out that dope shit. Stop trying to create, stop trying to mimic and create the bebop.
Yeah.
Be that motherfucker that plays the wrong note in the right the wrong note in the right place. Dude, Thelonious, that was his whole thing, man.
I know, that's the thing about stand-up is it's so exact and mathematical, especially now in the days of
but you could freak that shit.
I know people dig it.
That shit.
I like it. I do like freaking it. I know I can't turn bitter. Because I know that the arty shit and the weird shit has always appealed to me. So I know there's an audience for it out there. Like, even back in the day, like, my dudes were like Hedberg and Arj Barker. And then coming to New York, I can't tell you how surreal it was to go to the Lower East Side and go to, like, Collective Unconscious, which was this venue. And then this other venue was called Surf Reality. Literally, the mic would go on till like 4 a.m. But this shit happens now.
Dog, but I'm gonna be real with you.
But this was the Lower East Side, and it was before the internet. It was scary to be down there.
Look, man.
And it was like real heroin addicts like doing art. Like dudes like hung out, all looked like Lou Reed and shit. Like it was for real.
Don't make me get underneath the tree again.
Yeah.
But we don't realize it. We probably are those motherfuckers we're talking about.
I know, it's always going on. I'm not to be big.
It doesn't look as big because we're standing on the fucking hill.
Yeah.
You know, from far, that when motherfuckers was before we had anything or before we did comedy, we were like, oh shit, this the fucking.
And I was And
then now it's like, well,
that's what we're doing.
We're with Joe.
Yeah.
You know, we're with these guys. We're right there. Those are. They fuck with us. It's a beautiful thing, man. You know, it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, there's always just a audience out there that's that likes it's hard to be authentic, especially now. But there is a place and a tone for it, and it's hard with comedy because it is such a joke. It's jokes. So it's got to be fun. Like, you got to treat, it's like jazz, I don't want to talk too deep.
No, I know, but like being authentic is supposed to be hard.
Yeah.
Because it's self-discovery. It's challenging your fucking limits and who you are and like really getting a fingerprint.
But the trippy part of it, it's not hard.
Yeah. No,
that's the trippy part.
Well,
we make it hard. That's what starts fucking with you.
But you got I think what I say is hard. I'm saying that like you gotta.
No, it is hard. It's hard for me.
Dark forests.
Yeah, man.
You gotta go through those dark places.
You gotta go through them.
But you know what's harder? Getting famous for some shit you don't really like.
Yeah.
And getting stuck on a hamster wheel of fame to keep producing the same type of thing. For idiots.
Yeah, and you got to pay mortgages and kids and everything, man. Shit goes
now
down.
You're stuck in a hellscape.
Yeah.
And you can't enjoy time underneath a tree.
Yeah. You can't go out to the tree and cry, man. You do got to enjoy those times. And no, I think you're going to come out of that amazing, man. That sounds like an amazing trip, and I'm glad that you...
Hey, I'm just trying to keep it going. I'm not trying to wait. to ruin the awakening, man. I'm trying to like take an experience like that and not just have it be like I saw some cool things, but look back on it and be like, you know what? From that day forward, there are some things in my life that changed.
Yeah.
Because motherfuckers always talk about, oh, I seen some cool shapes. It's like, nah, motherfucker, I'm trying to rewire my brain.
Yeah. The outside, with meditation, the outside world isn't the real world. Like the inside world is like the real world. And when that starts, when you kind of bypass all that, kind of like they say, like staring at the manifestations, when you kind of go inward, it's it's just that you can do that with mushrooms is a whole other level, and it's making society much nicer. Like I just read this study about how psychedelics and meditation, like people are becoming better leaders and like taking control of their life. Like I love weed, but you know, it definitely is kind of more of a vicey vice. Whereas mushrooms, I think, like if you do it once in a while, it's like I don't do them that, like I've only done them like 3 or 4, 7, 10 times. But some people, it's so floating out there right now. People are doing them all the time, which I don't think, you know, that's what I mean about psychedelics. Like you can do everything too much and it gets kind of whack. You know, you see like these people that, you know, it's so mushroom fest and everything's psychedelics, and it's so metaphysical that it becomes kind of a charade in itself, and then you kind of lose the essence.
It's because capitalism will always try and like capitalize on a thing, you know, and
which sometimes is a good thing.
And capitalism ain't trying to hear that like here's the thing. Capitalism is not trying to provide you a real life-changing, like it doesn't want to sell you darkness. You know, like it doesn't want, even though it's very dark, it's at its core, it's very dark. It doesn't want to tell you like, hey, for you to get on a good, like, for you to get through like a life-changing or like a mind-altering trip, you have to walk down a deep, dark valley. You're going to throw up. You're going to be fucked up. And then you're going to hit a thing. Like, there's some struggle involved. Also, someone sent me this thing for this, like I think they thought, like, we were on some, like, you know, we saw kind of seeing the same thing or whatever, you know, like.
Yeah.
And they were like, yo, I want to show you this. There's this ayahuasca retreat. Dude, they sent me this fucking thing, and it was like, it's like a high-end luxury resort for ayahuasca tripping. And like, I was like, oh my God, they couldn't have totally missed the mark more on what this is about. This isn't about going to some luxury retreat, bro. It's about meeting some cross-eyed Mexican woman that lives in a hut and taking whatever she gives you and seeing a wolf that scares you half to death and then realizing that death is nothing.
Yeah, it's cool.
And you were dead before you got here.
I think when you yeah.
You know? Not some dog in the commercial. There was a commercial literally for the retreat, and they're like, we're licensed ayahuasca. I'm like, what the? This couldn't. And the dude is like some like buff bro. And he's like, my miracle that I saw on the second day. I remembered when I was 15, I wanted to be on the show Survivor, but you know what? And then he starts crying. He's like, I've realized I've lived enough of an adventure. Like, you know, and I'm like, and then it hit me. I was like, you know, shitty people can do psychedelics too, and they'll get a shit experience that won't really do anything for them. Because like, if your system's corrupt, that's the thing. People think that mushrooms is going to give you answers. It's not. It's only going to reflect what you've already put inside of you. Yeah. It's only going to use the jigsaws that you can offer it. Yeah. It's going to give you the pictures to the jigsaws that you put in. It's just going to, you know? And if your jigsaws are being 15 and wanting to be on Survivor and working at a hedge fund, then you're a fucking corrupt. And mushrooms, you can take as much mushrooms as you want. It ain't going to fix you, bruh.
Yeah.
Because you got to be you got to want to be good at your core.
Yeah, I mean, that's what I think about all the stuff is like the most.
Sorry that I went.
Yeah, no, you gotta add, you know.
You want a flaming hot?
Yeah, no. Yeah, I think you had a lot of those. No, but you're right, and it was funny, and but I was saying like tripping should be safe though.
Oh yeah.
If you're gonna be real about, like, that's what I mean. I ran kind of wild, and you know, but I've heard of people having really bad trips, like falling and all kinds of stuff while tripping. It can, you know, you want to be in a safe, honest environment. But I also know that ayahuasca, what you're talking about, or eating mushroom, it's kind of like going back to nature, and going back to nature goes beyond governments, and it goes even beyond, you know, any section of humanity as a human. Mm-hmm. So when you go back to nature, I mean, that's the ultimate punk rock, you know, move, is going back to nature, which is what we're, you know, what we're eventually all doing and going towards, with like all the psychedelics becoming legal and cannabis coming legal, and everybody kind of figuring it out in real time, you know. But I do think, you know, there's nothing's like a free ride, you know. Mm-hmm. There's payback on it, you know. That's what I'm saying. You shouldn't overdo anything. Like, it's good to, like, that's why I kind of like it being legal. Then it becomes more normal. Then it becomes less cheesy, and then it becomes a less thing, hopefully.
Yeah, I mean, and that's like the thing, like, I think capitalism wants you to like microdose every day because they want you to keep buying and buying and buying and buying. And it's like, no, like how it's set up in nature, you only need it like once every couple years, or when you went through some shit. And you should be older, and you should be maybe did some research about meditation, or did some research about ego death or psychology before. Because I do know with psychedelics, like, if you have a tendency for mental health issues, you shouldn't be taking psychedelics. Like, it can make people pop off if they're bipolar and all that shit. So can weed, no. You know, you just gotta, you gotta yield and feel around. I can't do weed all the time, man. Cause like I feel the paranoia, you know, creeping in. And there's some times where I have some really good experiences, but
But that joint I gave you last week was good.
That was great.
Yeah.
It was amazing.
Yeah, and you know, you can take it or leave it, man. That's what this podcast is all about. And you've been awesome, dude. We'll plug your Instagram, and we'll sign off.
Look, man, just when you go into Instagram, go into the search bar, type RUFAT. I'm the first person.
Rufat, all day.
But the name is like Rufat _Agayev. But
Rufat _Agayev. Yeah. One of my favorite guests, one of my favorite people in New York. Thank you for doing this. And thank you for being so honest and telling your mushroom story. And man, I'd love to do this again and again, man. Thank you. Thanks for coming on the podcast, brother.
Thanks.
All right. Peace and love. We're out.